Welcome to another broadcast from Evangel Worship Center in Marianna, Florida. Our service times are Sundays at 9:30 a.m., Wednesdays at 6:30 p.m., and our office is open 9 to 5, Monday through Friday. For more information about our church, visit our website at evangelonline.net or call 850-526-2232.
Sounds a new beginning. As distant hearts began believing, redemption's bid is unrelenting. Your love goes on. Your love goes on. You carry us when the world gives way. You cover us with your endless grace. Your love is relentless. Your love is relentless. Your love is relentless. Relentless. The time is up for chasing shadows. You gave the world a light to follow, and a hope that shines beyond tomorrow. Your love goes on. Your love goes on. You carry us when the world gives way. You cover us with your endless grace. Your love is relentless. Your love is relentless. Your love is relentless. Your love is relentless. Tearing through the veil of darkness, breaking every chain, you set us free, fighting for the furthest heart to be. You're alive for all to see. Tearing through the veil of darkness, breaking every chain, you set us free, fighting for the furthest heart to gain. Your love is relentless. 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 Your love is relentless.
We started last week talking about thankfulness and about how good God is to us. I'm already hearing stories about some of you who have used the cards on thankfulness. We'll have some more out here. And what we've done is we've put a challenge out to say, you know what, show intentional acts of kindness throughout this month. And people have gone, well, that was Thanksgiving, wasn't it? I think every month is a month for thankfulness. And so we're just telling you, you know, we usually come into this time of the season with fasting and prayer, but we just wanted to change things. I just felt such an excitement about this time, and I wanted to do something that was different, something that said, you know what, God's been good to us, let's be good to other people. I've already heard stories, someone in a grocery line, and they're paying for their groceries, and someone was behind them, and they looked and they said, you know, and they handed them the card. They said, I'd like to pay for this for you. And they went, huh? And they said, yeah, I'd like to pay for this for you. And they handed them the card, and they said, you know, we're just wanting to tell people how much we love them and everything. She looked at the card. She goes, you know, I've been thinking about coming there to church. And so God opened a door. And then there was another individual behind, had a couple of items, and she said, here, let me take care of you also. And I asked this individual, I said, could you tell me when you're going back to Winn-Dixie? Because I have grocery shopping I need to do. Can I get a witness in the house? You know, but it's little things like that open doors for a conversation that maybe people are, you know, I don't know about church, don't know about those things. All they want is something from me. No. Actually, we want to give. We want to love on people and tell people how much we appreciate them. Let me remind you real quickly of what we talked about last week. In our first part of our message on thankfulness, we said this. We said that we are to remember, number one. We used Psalms 103 and 1 through 5 that said, bless the Lord, O my soul, and all that is within me. Bless his holy name. Bless the Lord, O my soul, and forget not all of his benefits, who forgives all your iniquity, who heals all your diseases, who redeems your life from the pit, and who crowns you with steadfast love and mercy, who satisfies you with good so that your youth is renewed like the eagles. And we said that whenever we are thankful, God renews us in a lot of things. But we have to remember what God has done. Then we said we react when we remember. We turn around and we do something about what we remember. And we talked about the parable of the Good Samaritan, how everyone passed this man by that was in need. But this one man stopped and he ministered to him. He went the extra mile with him. He actually told the innkeeper, he said, look, whenever I come back by, whatever is owed, I'll take care of that. And we said the last part of that verse in Matthew 10 and 37, it said this. It said the one, Jesus was asking them, who was the right one? Who was the good one? And he said, the one who showed mercy, they said. And then Jesus looked at them and he said, go and do likewise. You go and do these things. Then we said the last thing that we are supposed to do is rejoice. We remember, we react, and then we rejoice. We talked about John 12, 1 through 3, where Mary came in and she poured out the ointment. She poured out the expensive perfume, and she anointed Jesus' feet, and she wiped it with her hair. She just said, you know what, I don't have anything, but I'm enough right here. And God received that, and they said the smell of that fragrance filled the entire room. And we talked about how when we rejoice, our rejoicing, the Bible tells us, is like a sweet smell that goes up to heaven. So we rejoice in him. So today, we're going to go into part 2 of this. And I want to share with you some things that have been going on this week. As some of you know, we have an emergency response team that goes out into different areas. I don't know if you saw Friday's paper, but the paper gave a good write-up on you guys on what you're allowing us to do. We spent 2 days out there with them, taking care of everyone. And I've had the question, have they found the gentleman yet? No, we have not. But we are believing that for the family, that the recovery is going to take place. So we want you to continue to believe with us in this area. And then also for protection for all of our guys. And you can see some of the things that are going on there. That's a bad picture there. But, one of the things that we did is some years back, we had a really large trailer that we didn't need. So we sold it and bought that grill. That grill has done its duty, I'm telling you. Then the trailer that you saw a minute ago was one that was confiscated by the sheriff's department. And they gave it to us as an emergency response trailer. And there was someone went in and put cabinets in it. Someone donated a generator, all of this type of stuff, where we're able to go on site and produce coffee and food and everything for them. This is some of the guys there. They're just coming. Many of them have just come out of the water, and so you're feeding them. We're talking. There's the Major Donnie Branch with all of them. We're up there digging into some of this. There's Jerry eating again, and but you allowed us. The next day we went out in that tent that you see right there. That tent, it was a little bit colder the next day. So we went out and put the sides on that tent, stopped at Tractor Supply, and because of the money that you give to ministries and everything, we were able to buy a small heater that went on top of one of our propane tanks. It's a 360 heater. And we set that down, put the sides on that little tent, put it in there, and man, let me tell you, those guys coming out of the water, they were so thankful for everything that was done. Our first chance of being able to work with the Game and Fish. First time being able to partner with them, but they were so thankful in everything that was done. We had a drone actually go up to try and take care of all of the different things that they needed. So there was just so much. There they are huddled up in that tent. The guy there in the black, he has just come out of the water. And they're diving wetsuits. They're not diving dry suits. So they were cold. Mike and I were talking about it. And that water is like someone punching you in the face. Sheriff's posse was out there. Stan Sims, one of our guys, works with the sheriff's posse. They were on horseback, all of them. There we are inside the trailer with part of the team from Houston County that was there flying a drone also. So all of these things were things you allowed us to be able to do. This was an act of kindness from you to these agencies. So on behalf of them today, they've all asked me to come to you and say this. Thank you so much for taking care of us while we were on scene in a bad situation. So today, I want you to give yourself a hand for everything that was done. Great stuff. You know, today we're talking about the gifts that God has given us and how we're to use them. And the Bible lets us know that God gives us gifts, and we're to turn around and put them in action. One of the statements that I want to open with is this. God has called us to show thanks by using the gifts He has trusted us with. God has called us to show thanks by using the gifts He has trusted us with. And do we have our team over here yet? Here they come. They're walking in the door right now. I want to share with you, this is what we're doing a lot of times is the message that we're giving, we're enacting all of this stuff right into our children's program and everything that's going on. So a lot of what we're teaching you on Sunday morning, your kids are being taught over in eKids and WeKids and everything like that, so that you can go home and have a discussion about this. So today, one of the things that Miss Melissa did, Melissa, come on out here, and yeah, Jonathan, if you'll give her a mic. It was over there somewhere, but we'll find one. Hey, this one looks like a good one right here. Brenda's got it. Miss Melissa heads up our kids program. Can you give her a big hand and tell her how much you appreciate her? We broke her in right this week. We took her out, and it's the first time she's been on scene with us on a recovery effort or anything like that. And she did a great job, though, out there touching people's lives and helping us out. So, Melissa, we've been talking about thanks here, and then you turned around and you took this idea to another level with your kids. So I want you, if you will, to share with the congregation today what's going on and how you're doing this, okay? I'm going to move my stuff out of the way.
All right. Well, thank you guys so much for giving me just a second. I'm going to ask you two to come on up here with me because this is really who did the work. I just happen to be the voice of it. We've tried the last little bit, Pastor and I have been working very closely together, and I know you guys have been doing random acts of kindness. Well, we believe in Children's Church. Our take on it was that it starts in God's kingdom. So we decided to teach that God gives us all the talents. It doesn't take us. Sometimes it's hard for us as children and little ones to realize that we have what it takes in order to make a difference. It's easy for you. You have jobs. You have a way to supplement whatever you need to do. You can pay for somebody's groceries, or, pay somebody's electric bill. You can help them. And, a lot of times kids look and say, but what am I? I'm small. How can I make a difference? So I taught them the parable about God's talents, and that God gave each one of us something to do, as long as we don't hide them and protect them and save it just to give him back the same talent that he gave us, but that we can multiply it, we can grow it, and make it something useful for his kingdom. And that's the start of a random act of kindness, because when we start that, then we're able to take it and spread it and have more, multiply it, I should say, I guess. I'm sorry, I got a little rambled there. But anyways, so this last week in our children's church, what we did is we actually took 3 leaders. Noah Shores is not able to be here today. His brother is sick. But there was actually 3 leaders that work with us in the children's church. And they each divided up the children's church into groups. They each took a different group to a section of the church. And I handed them an offering envelope that I was able to collect some money from breakfast. And I handed them each an envelope. They didn't know what was in it. Inside it was just like the parable. One had $5 in it. One had $2 in it. One had $1 in it. But they didn't know what was in there. And they were in charge of taking their children, their group of children with them, and sitting down and just doing nothing but talking to God, listening to what he would say. Gave me a chance to explain to them that it's not God's voice, that they're here, that it's an impression, that a feeling. What would God have you do with what he's going to hand you in order to multiply it and use it for his good? Well, I knew there was $5, $2, and $1 in these envelopes. They didn't. They sat down. They were obedient. They didn't open those envelopes, and that's what they did. They got right to praying. Some of it was a little funny. He had Luke Thomas. Do I need to say any more? They're in their group, and it becomes almost a business meeting, and Luke Thomas is like, you want to multiply it? Well, then let's just multiply it. And that was it, childlike faith. Emily had something on her heart that she already knew. She knew exactly what it was, and her group agreed with her. She'd been already connecting with another church that helps with the homeless, and so immediately she knew in her group that what they wanted to do was they wanted to find a way to feed the homeless with what was in their envelope. When she said it, and she stood up and said, this is what we want, I only put $1 in her envelope. And I was like, oh, why didn't I put a 20 in her envelope? I did not have childlike faith, but she did. They never wavered. Stephen, after he finished his business meeting, they decided, they kept on, they really wanted to multiply theirs is what they wanted to do. They wanted to make it a larger amount because they assumed what was in there could be multiplied. So they thought they would trade things up. And he's quite the entrepreneur. So he kind of already got started in that way of what he would do. And Noah immediately has a heart of a giver. And immediately he knew in his heart that he wanted to give. Being from youth, he went straight to where Jonathan has him brainwashed to. It wouldn't be to my BGMC. He said, we're going to give it to Speed the Light, which is an amazing an amazing vehicle to allow them to take that money and multiply it across the world, not just here. So I was pretty impressed with what they thought they could do, but I was a little scared of how that was going to happen because, well, I'm not really a child, even though I play like them. So they sat, they prayed about it, and then they decided, they talked with each other how they were going to do this. They opened their envelopes. They saw what was there. Not one of them was afraid of it. We laid the envelopes on the stage. We all came together as one group. We laid our hands forward to those envelopes, and we just prayed, and I kind of begged a little bit. God, please allow them to do something good for you with this. Please show them the lesson that when we use what he has, that it does multiply. It was beyond amazing as I met with their father for a meeting that I had to do for an event we have coming up, to hear that they'd been meeting all week long on what they were going to do and how they were going to do it. Emily, did you want to tell them what you chose to do with your $1?
So we bought $1 brownie mix and made brownies. And
let me help you. She decided that she could feed the homeless. She could go give somebody a brownie for $1, or she could do even better than that. For $1, they bought a box of brownie mix. They made the brownies. They put them in beautiful little packages. It says, keep calm and spread kindness. And they're going to auction off their brownies and see how much $1 can bring for God. Pretty awesome, right?
So how many brownies do you have here? 15 brownies. I need 15 people to stand up that will buy a brownie for a price that is good. I need 15 people to stand up real quick. Okay, even if it's more than 15, we'll make more brownies, okay? Emily, take your brownies, go pass these out, because now you have just multiplied $1 by all of this. So God's going to help. Jonathan, help her pass out her brownies real quick. And if you don't get a brownie, you come back and let us know as soon as service is over with, and she's going to make some more and pass them out to all that. Let's give Emily a great big hand with all of the things. And her team, she had a team that was working on this.
Yes, and we all know, don't be ashamed about what's in your pocket for this brownie, because we all know that it's not about the dollar amount that she's about to get this. It's about the lesson that the kids are about to hear. So thank you so much for giving. Stephen, what did you do when you opened yours? How much was in yours?
$2.
$2 big dollars. What did you do with your $2 big dollars?
And basically the boys wanted to take this money and invest and make a profit. That's why she was calling it like a business meeting. They were very business minded. So to increase the amount, so we had no idea what to do the day of Sunday. But the following day, it really is a God thing, because he put us in the right setting, the right location, the right people. He gave me the idea at the perfect time, and we were able to come up with these salt and pepper shakers. And we went to multiple stores, and we put it together, a bit of do-it-yourself work, and we ended up selling it. We had my first customer. It was my grandma, but it still counts. I think it still counts. And then we took that, and we were able to invest into more salt and pepper shakers, and we auctioned it off. So keep in mind, we started with $2. And thanks to Pastor LaVon, who is the winning bidder for one of the salt and pepper shakers, and Miss April, we now have $60, and that's definitely a God thing.
And here you go, Stephen.
And I know it just happens to be that it's our pastor and that it's April Kent that we're all very familiar with, but there was a lot of people that went, they put it on a silent auction on Facebook, and a lot of people stepped up and said, I'll help you with your $2 salt and pepper shakers. I immediately, Pastor, didn't have the faith that they did. I immediately thought, why didn't I give them more? But we all know that God gave them everything that they need. The one last thing I thought we would do is we would show, Noah's not here to show it, but we've got a video to show you where his heart was in this. It's a Speed the Light video to show you where his $5 went to.
If you didn't get a brownie, see Jonathan right after service, and he will make sure that all of this is taken care of, okay? God bless you.
The quality of life on this earth is based on every individual's freedom and rights. We fight for each human, created equal, to live with the same basic advantages. We fight to meet physical needs. We fight to meet political needs. Are we missing the most essential right for all life? To have the right to know God is the only crucial right for life at its fullest. As Christians, it is our job to give every person, young and old, no matter where they are in the world, the right to abundant life. How do we demonstrate to all people the greatest right we were born with? To know and to have a relationship with Jesus. Can we revive the human right within this generation to communicate in a relevant way the most primary right of all? Through Speed the Light, we speak up for those who cannot speak for themselves, to see souls saved and lives changed. It's the human right.
Yeah, let's give these guys a great hand.
Jonathan and I wanted to know if we could just kind of sneak this in on you. Speed the Light is just amazing, and we believe that $5 can help that quite a bit. But we're wondering if there was anybody in here that might want to match his $5 to make it go even further. Is there anybody that would like
Anybody
to
wants to match
for Noah's
his
process?
$5, you can stand, and Jonathan will see you right after service. If you want to match the $5, I'll tell you what, you ain't even got to stand. You just see Jonathan right after service, and we're going to believe that that $5 is multiplied exponentially to go to a place to where. So we're going to hear what all this is about. Next Sunday, we're going to show you how $1, $2, and $5 went to reach people all around the world. So I'm excited about it. So let's give God one more hand clap of praise. You know, giving is something that is innate in us. God gave, and so he created us as givers. Then why are we not really givers? Why do we not give of ourselves, of our talents? Because a lot of times we stifle it. We stifle the creativity. One of the things that I pray for, and we were at an event yesterday called Convoy of Hope, and I'll tell you a challenge that we're going to put out at the end of service about how we received a lot of stuff, and now we're going to give you an opportunity to use it. We were there, and they asked me to pray at the beginning of the service, and one of the things that I was specific about in praying is I prayed, God, give us a creative spirit for the things we're about to learn. Because creativity is not something that some people have and other people don't have. It's something that one person uses and the other person doesn't. Because sometimes we think our creativity is not to the level of someone else's creativity. But what we saw was even children, and I love what Luke Thomas said, well, let's just multiply it. This is black and white. Let's just get out here and do this. I thought, that's amazing. That's childlike faith. There's no reason. They teach me in school, that you can multiply things. Let's multiply it. So it's that childlike faith. With Emily and the team, I think Annalise was part of Emily's group and everything, and they were talking about, they're going, let's do this. There was creativity that was in there. Noah's group, you know what? We've been taught Speed the Light, which is the youth missions thrust that goes out. We've been taught this. Let's do something about it now. How can we do it? $5 turned into over $60. There's no telling where they'll go from there. How many of you have ever watched, there's a thing on television where they go out and they buy stuff, at these flea markets, and then they flip it and make other things. I love watching that because I'm like, wow, the creativity that's in there, that's pretty doggone amazing. You see, God created us to be creative because his nature is in us. His nature is in us. You see, gifts are given by an individual for the enjoyment and the fulfillment of the recipient. God created us so that we could have joy and fulfillment in what he gave to us. And God showed us the process of humanity from creation to the cross to his coming. He started at creation. He said, I'm giving to you life. He gave man, woman. He gave us children. He gave us day. He gave us night. He gave us all of these things because he loved us. Then Jesus went to the cross to show the next level of love that God has for us. For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believes in him will not perish, but will have everlasting life. Then God said, I love you enough that I'm not just going to provide a creation for you. I'm not just going to provide a cross to where you no longer have to go to somebody else and ask forgiveness. I'm going to turn around and I'm coming back for you because I want to spend eternity with you. So he loved us by giving us at creation, at the cross, and at his coming. And you see, God gave us in all of these things talents, just like they talked about. He gave each one of us talents. And we find in that passage that when God gave the 5, the 2, and the 1, One of them said, you know what? I'm scared that I'm not going to do this right, so I'm just going to bury it. I'm not going to do anything with it. And you know, that is the parable that we find that Jesus gets the most angry with someone at in a parable. In that parable, he told him, he said, you wicked servant. You did not use what I gave you. And the Bible says he cast him into outer darkness. You see, this is what God has told us in our lives. I gave you so that you can give. If you don't use what I gave you, you separate yourself from me, because I'm all about giving. I'm all about next level stuff. You see, your talent is to be used and not refused. Your talent is to be used, not refused. Someone may say, but I don't have a talent. You know, I heard a story, and I've used this before. There was a lady who was in a church, and after a period of time, her age got a hold of her, and she wasn't able to do a whole lot. And she sat down, and she was, you know, getting down and everything like that, and her eyesight was going and all of these different things. And one day she asked for a very unusual item. Someone came by to visit her. And they said, what can we do to help you? We know you're at home and you're homebound and everything. She said, can you get me a phone book in Braille? And they said, what? She said, can you get me a phone book in Braille? I can't see anymore. I'm blind, but I know how to read Braille. And they said, well, yeah, we can do that. So they delivered it to her, not asking a whole lot more. They thought maybe she wants to find some of her friends and be able to call the numbers. The story says that later on they came back to visit with her sometime later, and someone had asked, they said, so what are you doing? I see the phone book open over here. And she said, every day I can't get out and I can't go to someone. So every day I start at A, and I'm working my way through the phone book, and I'm calling different people. And then when they answer the phone, she said, I'm saying, you don't know me, but I'm calling you today to say Jesus loves you. She said, I've had people hang up on me, but I've had people I've got to pray with also. You see, you are always available to use a gift if you choose to. Don't say I'm not equipped, because in some way, shape, or form, you have a gift to be used. You see, to neglect your talent is to say that God, your creator, did not know what he was doing when he gave you the gift. To not use it is saying God did not know you. He did not know your makeup. He didn't know what you had. But I'm here to tell you, God created you, so he kind of knows you. Talents are not defined by their size, but by their benefit. We think a lot of times our talent is because of the size. Well, I can't speak, I can't sing, I can't do any of this. Can you pick up paper? Can you pick up? You see, next week we're going to have a list of things, of different things that you can do that help in the ministry just of this church, just on this campus. That says, I can do something. For you see, we have not only this property, we have the property behind us over here, which is our annex. And then we've been blessed with a house down here, which is our e-house. And there is always something that can be done. You see, I can't grow anything. I don't have a green thumb. But someone could come onto our property that does, and they could say, I'm going to take on landscaping. I'm going to take on making sure plants are replaced. I can do that. Someone can come in and go, you know what? I can pressure wash. I love it. I'm going to use Marcy as an example. Marcy, one day, she had changed jobs out and different things, and she came up one day and she goes, I'm going to be back tomorrow with a pressure washer. And I'm like, okay. She said, this office building needs to be pressure washed. And I said, yeah, that's true. Next thing you know, man, I got here and Marcy was here before me. And I hear, she's out there with a pressure washer going out. I said, we got one. You know what? She goes, no, I got one. And then she got here and something happened. She had to call Jan or something. And Jan came out and everybody got all together. But she pressure washed this building. She pressure washed all. And I'm like, that's amazing. See it, fix it, end it. It's a talent. Amen. Everybody has something that you can do. Our property up here on the corner, we've got a beautiful sign, but it's kind of just there. We cleared that piece of property out. I have great vision of that property having trees on it and shrubbery and around that sign and everything. I can't do it. Don't know how. But somebody here does. In this building. Dr. Lee used to tell us when we were going through leadership training, he said, the genius is in the room. The genius is in the room. You say, you may think that what you do doesn't have a large impact, but the reality is you may never know the impact it has until you get to heaven. You don't know what this money is going to do that you gave today to these kids. Do you know how much encouragement that is happening next door right now because they are over there saying, let me tell you what just happened in large church about what you did with your gifts. They are over there right now excited. You need to talk to your kids today when you go home about what happened today as we partnered with them. We'll never know the impact. You see, when I begin to ask God how to bring this out to you today, most times we have to have 3 points and a poem is what they tell us in ministry. I'm just kidding. But they say that's the thing, 3 points and a poem. Today I only have 2 points and I don't have a poem. So I hope it'll help you in some way. Kenny's over here laughing because he does the same thing. But today I want to give you 2 things, just 2 things that I think you need to understand. Number 1 is this. You are to be planted. You're to be planted somewhere, in some gift, in some way, in some action. I told you last week while we were out there 2 days, I got to meet a gentleman there that knew somebody, knew Tom and Angie and everything. I got to meet him and talk to him, and he said, I know you from somewhere, and we got to talking. He said, I know you from church. I visited your church. We got to talking, and he said, you know what, I think I'm going to come back and visit. I'm like, we're just out here today to take care of people. Then I met another family the next day that I haven't had a chance to really meet one-on-one. And we got to talk and build up a friendship and everything. I'm like, wow, this is amazing. All we were doing was out there cooking sausage dogs for these guys trying to get warm. And God allowed us to connect with people I may not have connected with in here. You see, you're called to be planted somewhere. You're called to be in that place. In John chapter number 15, there's a great story there, great parable. And this is what Jesus said in John 15, 1 through 8. He says, I am the true vine, or the true grapevine, and my Father is the gardener. He cuts off every branch of mine that does not produce fruit. And he prunes the branches that do not bring forth much fruit, so they can bring forth even more. You have already been pruned and purified by the message I have given you. And this is what he says. Remain in me, and I will remain in you. For a branch cannot produce fruit if it's severed from the vine, and you cannot be fruitful unless you remain in me. Here's what Jesus is saying. I created you with gifts. You say, I don't have the ability. You're correct. That fruit cannot be produced absent from the tree or the vine that it is identified with. I can't just go out on the ground and there be an orange. And I go, I'm so grateful for this orange. I hope I can find more. I have to know that without orange trees, I don't get oranges. I can't just go out. Sometimes we get so used to going to the grocery store and they're going, I'm going to go buy this, I'm going to go buy that, and they're out of it. And they go, well, why are you out of this? Well, the frost killed some of them. All of this time. Well, but that can't be. Make more. It's like Doritos. They say, eat all you want. We'll make more. It's not like that. You see, God has called every one of us to be attached to him in some shape, form, or fashion. To be attached to the vine so that we can get nutrients, so that we can use the gifts that God has called us to use. You see, he said, remain in me and I will remain in you. For a branch cannot produce fruit if it's severed. So the first thing we have to do is we have to be planted. The second thing we have to do is we are to produce fruit. It's not enough to be a tree. We must be a tree that is producing, a tree that is doing something. And a lot of times we lie dormant because we don't take in the nutrients we need. How many of you know that you got to fertilize, you got to do different things? If you want stuff to grow, you've got to take care of it. You can't just go out in the yard, plant something and go, okay, now I'm going to wait for it to produce. There are times when you have to do something about that. The Bible says in John 15, 5-8, it says, yes, I am the vine and you are the branches. Those who remain in me and I in them will produce much fruit. For apart from me, you can do nothing. Anyone who does not remain in me is thrown away like a useless branch, and it withers. Such branches are gathered into a pile to be burned. But if you remain in me and my words remain in you, ask for anything you want, and it will be granted. When you produce much fruit, you are my true disciples. And I like this. And this brings great glory to the Father. What is it that brings glory to the Father? It is when we turn around and we say, I am going to find a way to be a blessing to somebody else. Here's one of the things we're going to do. This past Saturday and Friday, I sat in some classes with a group called Convoy of Hope. Anybody ever heard of Convoy of Hope? Convoy of Hope is a great organization. It's amazing, all the things. There are companies right now that they asked us not to even use their names because they are anti-God. They are anti-everything about God. But for some reason, they have chosen Convoy of Hope to be a distributor of their product for people who are in need. That amazes me. I sat there and I said, you got to be kidding. There was a number of different products that were up there, and they said these companies ask us not to use their name. One company will allow us, we've put in the paperwork and everything, and we're just going to wait and see what happens. It may not. But one company will actually ship you a pair of shoes for every student in a school. The right size. You got to go in and size everybody. But they don't love God. But they have found a way that they can give. What would happen if God was attached to that mentality of giving? You see, every one of you has a gift. And the great thing about your gift is you have God attached to your gift, which turns around and exponentially touches others. You see, when it was all over with yesterday, I was amazed. They had a semi out there, Convoy of Hope semi. In that semi was pallets upon pallet upon pallet of different product. We've got the 5x8 trailer that we have is stacked to the brim because there were 40 churches that participated in this, and it was called Rural Compassion. And it's talking about reaching people in rural areas. Whenever I began to look at this, and I looked up just a couple of numbers, in just two of our schools right here, the number of free and reduced lunches is on one of them is at 57.3%. That's why Backpack for Kids is such a big thing that we participate in. The other school is 71%. 71%. You see, we have children that had nothing to do with the circumstances that they are growing up in, that need somebody to use a gift to say you matter. Now, we're very wise in the things we do. We know there are people that work the system. We know that. That's why we work with a great foundation in our community called the Right Foundation. If people want things and all of that type of stuff, we send them to the Right Foundation because we're not going to be just a place where they can come and get. We don't give out money here. We don't do that. We tell them we will help you with a step up, but we're not going to give you a handout. We'll help you with these things. We run background checks whenever they call me. I say, okay, you need to understand, if you're wanted by the law, you don't want to call me, because I will have your driver's license run and I'll have your tag run. And I've had people go, well, no thank you then. Because my first thing is, I'm not going to equip you to stay in the place that you are. You need to get out of that so that now you can become a productive citizen. Pastor, you've had people arrested? Yeah, I have. I've told them, they've walked up there and they go, oh, you got a warrant, get in the back of the car, hands behind your back. I'll open the door, hey, dude, when you get this taken care of, call me and we'll see what we can do. We're going to be praying for you. Oh, we've got some chaplains at the jail. I hope you go, because you're going to need to talk to God. Pastor, you didn't cry with them? No, that's reality. You've messed up, own it. And now let's move on from here. You see, God has called us to be fruitful in all these things. So this coming Sunday, I'm excited about this. I got all this stuff. Nobody knows this, not staff, nobody, because this just happened. But this coming Sunday, when you come in, we're going to have some grocery bags for you. All along the front here is going to be product. All along the front here. Stuff that we've got, we're going to go out and buy more stuff and everything like that. And then your goal is going to be this. Come by, get things, put it in a bag that has been gifted to us. Now you go and gift somebody else that is not as privileged as you are. I'm a lot more excited about that than you are. I'm just telling you, I am. So, I don't know if I want to do that. That's fine. Sit on your gift. Take that however you want to. But God has called us to get up off of our gift and put our feet into action. Well, Pastor, I don't know anybody. Keep that in your car, and you will run into somebody. You will run into somebody. And whenever you do, you hand them the bag, and all you have to do is say, I want you to know God loves you. I don't want you to preach to them. I don't want you to look at them and go, well, God said if you would redeem yourself, you'd go to heaven. I don't want you to do that, okay? Don't throw down on them. Hand them, and then ask them this one simple question. When I pray, how can I pray for you? When I pray, how can I pray for you? And then see what God does with the door. If they reject it, you go, God bless you. Because all it is about you using the gift that God has given you to be planted and then to turn around and produce. You see, this morning we showed you our kids in operation. And that warmed your heart, didn't it? It did mine. Seeing these kids do that, now I'm going to ask you to take your heart and turn around and put it into action. Because it's one thing to applaud these kids. It's one thing to say, way to go, kids. Way to go. But God is calling us to set the example for what these kids are going to do. And when they see you saying, we have this gift, this bag of stuff that we want to bless somebody with, who knows of the name that may come up that somebody is going to be taken care of. This week we have a Facebook page for the West Florida ministers, and someone posted on there an address here in Marianna. They're from another area. They say, I know this individual. This is a real thing. We're going to investigate it and everything. And they go, could somebody in the Marianna area please help this individual? Tomorrow we'll be investigating that. Because you see, it's an opportunity. When you go to the door, how did you find us? Well, you need to understand that somebody in another town heard that you were in need, and today we're here just to be Jesus' hands and his feet. You see, God's called us to use those gifts. Lance, if I could get you to come. You see, there's a parable in Luke chapter number 13 and verse 6 through 9. It's the parable of the fig tree. The Bible says a man planted a fig tree in his garden, and he came to see if it was there and if any fruit was on it. But he was always disappointed. And finally he said to his gardener, I've waited 3 years, and there hasn't been a single fig. Cut it down. It's just taking up space in the garden. And the gardener answered, Sir, give it one more chance. Leave it another year, and I'll give it special attention and plenty of fertilizer. If we get figs next year, fine. If not, then you can cut it down. And here's what I feel God saying to you today. God's given you gifts, and a lot of you have just held on to them. And He's walked by, and a lot of times you've been, well, I can't do this. I don't know. That's outside of my comfort zone and everything. A comfort zone is only something you've created. A comfort zone is not a God thing. A comfort zone is a human thing that you've created. Well, that's outside my comfort zone. Well, then shrink your comfort zone. Shrink it up some. God looked at this. He walked through and He said, you know what? Nothing's been done with this. It's time to cut it down. The gardener looked at him and said, tell you what, can we give it another year? And if we come back and there's figs on it, it's a good thing. If we come back and there's not, then we'll cut it down. Here's what you need to hear today. Some of us are on the 1-year plan. What do you mean by that, Pastor? God's walked by a number of times and you're not doing anything with the gift you have for the kingdom. And He's walked by and He said, so how long are you going to keep this up? I'm bringing it to your attention. Today, that's what this is. It's about bringing something to your attention. I'm going to bring it to your attention, and I'm going to give you another year. And if you don't do anything with this, I'm moving on to somebody else that will. I don't know about you, but I don't want to be on the 1-year plan. I want to be on the fig tree that when He walks by, He's able to take fruit from it. And He's able to say, not only does this help me, but it helps somebody else. Because here's the ticket. You never realized how fulfilled giving and serving can be until you do it. You always get more than somebody else does. You always do. Always. This week, it threw the whole week upside down in a number of things. But I was so pumped. The guys, Melissa was laughing at me. She said, you get so energized when something like this comes up. You get so pumped. And I said, you don't understand. I love serving first responders. I love it. It's my heart. You tell me I get to go and take care of people who put themselves on the line every day. I'm pumped. I'm going. I'll stay out there all night with you because it's my passion. It's my gift that I get to give back to somebody else. I love walking up to these guys, and some of them are, law enforcement first responders have these big walls around them, built around them. We're not supposed to, show any emotion or anything like that. And some of my law enforcement guys are smiling in there because LEOs, first responders, we've been there when we've searched bodies after a burning building. We've been there for that. We've been there in all of these different types of things. And Melissa was going, it's amazing to watch you. You go into another mode. You turn into a different person. I said, because I love serving first responders. I love it. Well, Pastor, it's kind of gory. Are you a gory person? No, but I know this, that if I can be there and one of these guys has come out and they're dealing with something that may impact their family, their home, that may impact their children, that may impact their job. And if I can be there, mine is a ministry of presence. That's it. Give them a hot dog, give them a hamburger. We've cooked steak in the middle of the woods. That team from Panama City wants to come back. They go, can y'all come back on our site? We were out doing skeletal search. We had dogs on the ground. They had found a skeleton out there, and we had dogs on the ground. We were in the middle of booger woods, and I didn't go very far off because they said there was big snakes out there. And I said, I'm staying right here. And I prayed over that area. No snakes. And but we were out there for those times. Why? I'm not telling you this to tell you, yay or whatever. I'm telling you, I'm not asking you to do anything that we're not going to do. I will never say do this if we're not doing it. Never. So I want to challenge you. Get out there and be a blessing. Find some way, some little thing. If it's baking brownies, if it's sweeping someone's porch, if it's pressure washing someone's house, whatever it is, God wants you to be planted. Psalms, the 1st chapter, says that you can be like a tree that's planted by the rivers of living water that will bring forth your fruit in your season. So today, I challenge you, be a giver and see how fulfilled you